gas prices are going up. Every $10 increase in a barrel is roughly 24 cents per gallon that you'll be paying more because of Trump's war.
California Republicans say they're frustrated by the high costs at the pumps amid refinery closures and increased reliance on foreign imports for oil supply.
With the oil situation, I mean, the state is going to have to start bringing in a lot of fuel from other countries. And just, are you worried about how a global conflict could impact the price of energy in the state?
Well, that's by definition, and my comments align with that concern. So now we have the prospect of a regional war.
While they say the conflict in Iran has contributed to the increase in gas prices nationwide,
but also it was happening before Iran and California.
They argue California's strict regulations have already led to dwindling in-state oil production, as seen with the Phillips 66 refinery in Los Angeles and Valero in Benicia, two facilities producing 20% of California's gasoline.
Had extensive conversations over the weekend, gaming out worst-case scenarios as it relates to access of imports, as it relates to the ongoing issues around refineries, as it relates to past impacts of similar endeavors in the Middle East and what we can anticipate.
Sacramento created this mess. Sacramento needs to fix it.
We're not independent anymore. If we were not importing, we would be energy independent.
And so the whole energy team was on call this weekend, gaming those things out, and including access to airline fuel in specific terms. That is also part of our strategy. The good news is, as you know well, because of those refinery issues, we've got a wonderful group of people that are meeting on a consistent basis.
Governor Newsom reacting to high gas prices, saying, quote, Trump's Iran war is costing Americans $1.5 billion more at the pump this week alone. And what are Americans getting in return? Not better roads, not cleaner air, just higher prices as corporations pocket the higher prices and cash on Trump's chaos.
We knew this was going to happen. This is just right out of the old Gavin Newsom podcaster Newsom playbook, right? Newsom blames Trump for California's higher gas prices despite state policies. California invariably has typically the highest or second highest gas prices in the country. California kind of swaps back and forth with Hawaii and Washington State, where I am. Washington State, another deal where it's all of these elevated taxes that are completely unnecessary and were just basically shoveled on us. And they told us, well, Jay Inslee told us, well, it's only going to be a couple of cents on the gallon tax. Yeah, no. And same thing in California. It's not the Iran war. The Iran war is essentially putting a spotlight on California's inability to process its own gas domestically because they've pushed out all the refineries with their ridiculous clean energy, moving forward. We've got the climate crisis, and there we got to get off the oil. Well, that's not working out all that well. Let's read the article. Governor Gavin Newsom stepped up his criticism of President Donald Trump's decision to go to war with Iran on Tuesday, arguing the president's actions have fueled a global oil and gas price spike that's hurting American families. Yeah, what happens if Iran sends a nuke our way? It's to think about that as well, right? Trump's Iran war is costing Americans $1.5 billion more at the pump this week alone. And what are Americans getting in return? Not better roads, not cleaner air, just prices as corporations pocket the higher prices and cash in on Trump's chaos. No, it's a supply issue, you moron. And you've already constricted your own supply in California. That's why your prices are so much higher. Are we getting better roads? No. Are we getting cleaner air? No. And is that the same answer you can say with California's energy policies? You got better roads in California than any other state? I'm waiting. Do you have cleaner air? Oh, you don't? Yeah. Just higher prices. The corporations pocket the higher prices. You know what's funny is that California set up a deal, Gavin Newsom set up a deal where they could basically level out the price spikes. But then they tabled that for 5 years. They tabled that legislation for 5 years because they were worried if they put this even more onerous restrictions on the refineries, even more refineries would leave. Now, we saw a clip towards the end of the video we watched at the beginning indicating yet another refinery in California has voiced concerns about the proposed amendments by the California Air Resources Board. I think that's what it stands for, CARB, and has said, hey, there's going to be no refineries left and we're going to pull out as well. So we had a letter from Marathon, we had a letter from Chevron, and we had a letter from PBF, is the other oil company, I believe, that all three of them, and they run, I think, 6 out of 7 or 7 out of the 7 remaining refineries. And they all said, hey, if you guys leave these amendments in place, we're not going to be able to do business in California. And that's going on right now. I podcasted each one of those letters that came out, within the last 2 weeks? And you know what I think CARB is going to do? And I've talked with 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧, texted with 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧. He's a former refinery controller. And I said, hey, I don't think California is going to do anything different. They're just going to keep going the direction they're going, and they're not going to change any of these amendments at all. And they're just going to see what happens with the refineries. And the refineries have already said, hey, we can't continue to do business in California if you guys keep penalizing us the way you are. We can't make money. We can't go to our shareholders and say, this is a great concept. Let's refine more oil in California and not make a profit. In fact, cost millions. And it cost Valero $1 billion to shut down the Benicia refinery. They took an operating refinery and closed it down to the tune of $1 billion and are essentially walking away right now. Right now. And yet, Gavin Newsom is blaming California's high energy costs, high gas prices on the Iran war. They're already high. This just basically puts a spotlight on California's terrible, terrible energy, just the Green New Deal. Just, we've all got to fly around in electric vehicles. Just a bunch of nonsense, right? Newsom criticized Trump for launching a war with no plan to shield American families from the consequences. Well, if you believe in the war, you understand that it's also going to be relatively temporary. The problem is with California, gas prices were already so high that it's going to elevate them even more. And Washington State, same drill, right? We just got these insane gas policy and taxes that are completely unnecessary. But when you have a Democrat supermajority, this is what they do. This is their game plan. Crush the middle class with super high gas prices and the lower class as well. These are regressive taxes because everybody's got to fill up at the pump. And if you can't do that, where's the money going to come from? You can't not get your car to work, right? It's not an option for a lot of folks. So what do? They don't eat. They just basically, got to make a sacrifice somewhere. The outgoing governor also rebuked the Republican majority in Congress, accusing them of looking the other way as Americans bear the brunt of soaring energy costs. Escalating conflict in the Persian Gulf is already impacting California motorists at the gas pump, but that had already started before the war. And you know what? It's a timing issue as well. You are transitioning between the winter blend and the summer blend, which is more expensive. It's cleaner. And then you've also got a situation where you've got better weather. You got spring breaks happening right now. We're looking at summer around the corner. And as summer comes, better weather comes, more demand is created. Gas prices go up. So you've got kind of this perfect storm in California for gas prices to go to the moon. And an international conflict like the Iran war is one of those primary drivers that all of these experts have talked about. Michael Maché at USC, 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗛, the petroleum expert that I've had on before, Stan Ellis, assemblyman out of District 32 in Kern County, Bakersfield in California. This is one of those events. When it happens, it takes an already super fragile supply side on oil in California and just puts a real focus on it, a laser focus on it, and it goes, and your prices go to the moon. And that's what you've got going on right now. You got prices going to the moon. Fuel marketers, gas station owners, and some voters have blamed Newsom's policies for their woes. Certainly to blame, because other parts of the country are just over $3 a gallon, right? I mean, $3 a gallon. Weird. Not the 6 or 7 or saw a gas station with $8 a gallon prices, downtown LA, $8 a gallon. So when the rest of California catches up and they're at $7 or $8, what's that gas station going to be at? $10 a gallon? Probably, right? Average price per gallon of gas now stands at $5.29. I think that's even higher as of today. Average price was $4.67 a week ago, and this was from about a week ago. Month ago was $4.49 at a 76 gas station in LA. Price was $6.95 on Tuesday. By comparison, national average sits at $3.53. What is it in Oklahoma City? Less. It's got a 3 in front of it. Low 3s. That's just how it goes when you don't have these absolutely insane policies, absolutely pushing out all the refineries, and you've got this, you've got this dependence on importers. And the refineries' big complaint is that they can't compete on an economic basis with outside importers bringing in all this oil and refined product because they aren't subject to those regulations. So, and I've talked about this a million times, a fairly significant supply of oil and gas products is coming from Houston in Texas, going to the Bahamas, going through the Panama Canal, and then up to the West Coast in California. That's an insane run. It's an insane run that doesn't need to happen because California has plenty of oil reserves in their own state. But these absolutely brain-dead policies where you push out, you're pushing this clean energy thing, you're pushing this climate crisis that, in the short term is absolutely decimating lower income class and middle class in California, because in California, you've already got the highest prices for just all kinds of different things, the highest poverty levels, just all the things you don't want. California has those already. And you throw on top of that high gas prices. High gas prices or gasoline is needed to create everything and transport everything. So then all of a sudden, boop, everything goes up. Everything goes up because you can't produce today's consumer economy without gasoline. And that's where California is just so short-sighted on this whole deal where we're going to outlaw electric vehicles by 2035. Well, that was overturned in court. What a stupid idea that was. All this is virtue signaling to the world. Oh, we're so green. We're so clean energy. The climate crisis. And then they enact a bunch of policy that just destroys folks who can't afford it. Destroys folks that the Democrat Party continually says that they care about the most. Now, has there been an increase from the Iran war? Yeah, we knew that was coming. That's just how this game is played. That's how it goes. But the states where that's going to impact the most, Washington State, Hawaii, California, because they've already got ridiculous. I mean, Hawaii has to import everything anyway. Hawaii is just expensive because everything comes in on a boat, right? They don't produce hardly anything except maybe sugarcane. Primary reason gas prices in California are high is that refinery closures are reducing local supply, while demand has remained high. Low supply, high demand. What's that do for pricing? Yeah, it doesn't go down, does it? Geopolitical events show and highlight how fragile it is here in California. And this is what we've been saying. I don't know how many podcasts I've done on this personally, but this is the issue. If you have any little event that impacts the supply of oil or oil-related products to California, it's going to be exacerbated because of on the books policy. And on the books policy, even as recently as just, I think it was last year or maybe, 2023, where they enacted that. All right, we struck out at big oil and we won. California won against big oil, enacting the legislation where they're going to make oil refineries hold even more reserves so that there aren't spikes when you have a supply crisis like this come. But then after the refineries made their announcements, hey, we're closing, boys, they completely put that legislation on hold. And they're just like, yeah, don't talk about it. Just don't bring it up. And maybe people won't, they'll ignore it. California has the ability to, it's to a certain extent, keep some of this pricing down. But the real risk enacting that policy is that even more refineries leave because it puts the pressure on the refinery. Puts the financial onus on the refinery instead of California taking it because they've already blown out. They've gone from 40 refineries down to 7, and the remaining that are in California are all saying, hey, we're out of here unless you guys change your proposed amendments, CARB. So, and I don't think California backs down. I don't think the state of California backs down. I think they just kind of see what happens. Hey, let's just see what happens. Another refinery will go out, and then all of a sudden Gavin Newsom will reverse trend, and he'll be like, we need these refineries. They're our partners in business. It's critical to have a cheap gasoline in the state. Just a complete reversal on everything. We're trying to balance our climate emergency commitment to the needs of the people. Just more lies. Just absolute nonsensical lies is what it comes down to. Yeah, here we go. Gavin Newsom is trying to shift blame, said Steve Hilton. He's running for governor, blaming these insane gas prices in California. It's not the war in Iran, because in the rest of the country, they don't have $5.49. They have $3 gas. Weird. It's entirely because of Gavin Newsom's insane climate dogma that we have the highest gas taxes in the country. 100%. And you've got a huge supply issue because you're importing 70% of your product, and you should be refining that domestically, in-house, in California, but you're not. Hilton called on Newsom to end his national book tour and to immediately suspend the gas tax. So great. Here's a quote that is mentioned quite often from Chevron president Andy Walls. The proposed regulation, we're talking about the CARB proposed amendments to the cap and trade, just the way they handle that, you're just basically going to absolutely drive the cost of refineries into the stratosphere further than it already is. The proposed regulation will cripple the survivability of the state's remaining refineries, which will result in California losing the entire industry to this misguided program. 100%. 100%. You know what? I think that happens. I think a couple of more refineries say, hey, we warned you. We sent the letters. We're out of here. But when you've got a governor like Gavin Newsom who has his eye on the presidency, even though he just repeatedly takes out his handgun and shoots himself in the foot and blames somebody else for his own errors, when you've got that going on repeatedly, it's no surprise that he's got to play the blame game, because if he takes responsibility for everything that's gone sideways during his podcasting career as governor of the state of California, it wouldn't go well. It wouldn't go well. Hey, Gavin Newsom, try and spin this one. You got number one homelessness. You got number one unsheltered homelessness. You got highest housing prices. You got greatest amounts of poverty. You've got highest energy gas costs. You got the highest gas price. You got, the list just goes on and on and on. So don't spin it for me, Gavin Newsom. Take responsibility. And then add to insult to injury, he's out there saying that he's not that smart. He's got a 960 SAT score. Not that great. He's also got dyslexia. He can't really read. But hey, after all those number ones, and he's not smart, and he can't read, still vote for him. President of the United States. Yes, do that. Do that. I dare you. I dare you to vote for Gavin Newsom. And you know what? We'll just find out what happens. Oh, do you imagine 4 years of that? No. Whew. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Thanks so much for being here today. Love to have you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. Share with friends and family. That's a great way to get this into the algorithm of YouTube that, hey, this guy's channel is worth watching. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.